The Varaxian warship Eternal Glory hung in Earth's orbit like a metallic predator, its crystalline sensor arrays scanning the planet below. High Commander Zixtel stood on the observation deck, his iridescent scales shifting colors with barely contained disdain. The massive viewscreen before him displayed countless data streams about the primitive civilization below, their polluted cities, their primitive combustion vehicles, their laughably basic space program. Another waste of resources, he muttered, his auxiliary breathing gills fluttering in annoyance. Mark them as Category 3 primitive species, not worth further observation. His second-in-command, Survey Officer Nerix, compiled the report with practiced efficiency. Noted, High Commander. Shall I add the standard quarantine recommendations? Yes, yes, Zixtal waved a clawed hand dismissively. The usual protocol. No contact until they at least achieve basic fusion drive capability. At their current rate of development, that should take them another century or two. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility that didn't officially exist, Dr. Elena Santos watched the entire exchange through quantum-entangled observation arrays that the Varaxians couldn't detect. She allowed herself a small smile as she watched the alien ship's sensors completely miss the massive underwater complex that housed humanity's real space program. They're so convinced of their superiority that they never think to look deeper, she remarked to her colleague, Dr. Marcus Chen, who was monitoring the facility's quantum shields. Their arrogance makes our job easier. Marcus nodded, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. The latest tests on the quantum fold drive are exceeding expectations. We can now completely phase a carrier group out of normal spacetime with zero energy signature. The facility, designated as Project Lighthouse, was humanity's best-kept secret. For 30 years, the world's nations had maintained a carefully orchestrated charade of division and technological stagnation, all while pooling their resources into a hidden space program that would eventually secure humanity's place among the stars. Elena moved to the central command hub where a holographic display showed Earth's hidden fleet. Over 200 vessels, from agile corvettes to massive carriers, all incorporating technologies that would seem like magic to their alien observers. But it wasn't magic. It was the product of human ingenuity and the unique advantage of being perpetually underestimated. Status report on the Prometheus battle group, she asked, focusing on a cluster of ships hidden in the Marianas Trench. All systems nominal, Marcus replied, pulling up detailed diagnostics. Admiral Chen reports 97% readiness. The new neural sync systems are fully integrated, giving our pilots reaction times that would make a Varaxian's head spin. Quantum computers are operational, and the AI support networks are running at peak efficiency. Elena allowed herself a moment of pride. The neural sync systems were perhaps their greatest achievement, a perfect merger of human intuition and artificial intelligence that would give their ships capabilities far beyond anything the Varaxians could imagine. The facility's quantum sensors suddenly registered increased activity from the observation vessel above. Elena and Marcus turned their attention to the feeds as Zixtal received what appeared to be an urgent communication. They're being recalled. Marcus noted, the translation software decoding the alien language in real time, something about unusual activity in the Centauri sector. Elena's expression hardened. The Centauri sector was home to the Alderans, one of the few species that had managed to maintain some independence from the Varaxian Empire. If they were in trouble, it might force humanity to accelerate their timeline. Contact the Security Council, she ordered. I want a full briefing prepared within the hour. If the Varaxians are moving against the Alderans, we may need to show our hand sooner than planned. As the Eternal Glory disappeared into faster-than-light travel, Elena walked to her private office, mind racing with possibilities. On her desk sat a small hologram of her son, taken just before she disappeared to take command of Project Lighthouse. He would be graduating college now, still believing his mother had died in a research accident years ago. Everything we've sacrificed, she whispered, touching the hologram gently. It's all been for you. For everyone's future. The quantum comlink on her desk chimed softly. The Security Council was assembling. Soon, they would decide whether humanity would maintain its charade of primitive development or finally reveal the full extent of their capabilities to a galaxy that had dismissed them for so long. Elena straightened her uniform and headed for the briefing room. Whatever they decided, one thing was certain. The Varaxian Empire was about to learn that they should have paid much closer attention to the supposedly primitive species they'd locked away in their conservation zone. The game of hide-and-seek was coming to an end, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy that they'd been holding the winning hand all along. The massive underground hangar of Project Lighthouse stretched for kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean floor, its cavernous space filled with vessels that would redefine humanity's place in the galaxy. Captain Sarah Way stood at the edge of a maintenance platform, watching as engineers made final adjustments to the quantum fold drive of the HSS Artemis. The ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, its obsidian hull designed to bend light and reality itself around its surface. At nearly 800 meters long, it was the newest addition to humanity's Phantom Fleet, and Sarah's first command. "Beautiful, isn't she?" The voice belonged to Dr. James Rodriguez, the quantum fold drive's principal architect. He joined Sarah at the railing, his dark eyes reflecting the subtle shimmer of the ship's stealth field. "We've pushed the boundaries of physics further than we thought possible." Sarah nodded, remembering her first glimpse of humanity's true technological capabilities 15 years ago. The Varaxians would never believe this exists right under their noses. How are the new defensive systems performing? James pulled up a holographic display from his wrist computer. "The quantum mirror shields are exceeding expectations. In our latest tests, they didn't just deflect energy weapons, they redirected them back at their source. We're not just invisible anymore, we're untouchable." The Emergency Security Council meeting had concluded hours ago, and the news from the Centauri sector was worse than they'd feared. The Varaxian Empire had begun a military buildup that could only mean one thing. They were preparing to absorb the last independent systems into their empire. "Dr. Santos wants all command staff in the strategic center," James said, checking a message on his neural link. The councils made their decision. The strategic center was Project Lighthouse's nerve center, a vast chamber where humanity's military and scientific leaders coordinated their secret space program. As Sarah and James entered, they found Elena Santos already briefing a group of officers and scientists. "The Alderans have confirmed our worst fears," Elena was saying, gesturing to a holographic map of the Centauri sector. "The Varaxians are positioning fleet elements for a full-scale invasion. They're not even trying to hide their intentions anymore." Admiral Chen, a veteran of Earth's conventional navy, before being recruited into Project Lighthouse, studied the tactical overlay. "How long until they're ready to move?" 2 weeks, maximum," Elena replied. "The Alderans have impressive defensive capabilities, but they won't stand a chance against the full might of the Varaxian fleet. Not alone." Sarah felt the weight of the moment. For decades, humanity had hidden its true capabilities, building and preparing in secret. They had planned to wait another year before revealing themselves, but fate had other plans. "Show them the Artemis specs," James suggested. Elena nodded, and a holographic display shifted to show detailed schematics of Sarah's ship and its revolutionary systems. "The quantum fold drive doesn't just make us invisible," James explained to the assembled leaders. "It allows us to exist partially outside normal spacetime. Our weapons can bypass conventional shields completely. Our sensors can detect ships in hyperspace. And with the neural sync systems, our reaction times are orders of magnitude faster than anything the Varaxians have." Admiral Chen leaned forward, his expression intense. "How many ships can we field right now?" 217 combat-ready vessels, Elena answered. "Another 43 are in final testing. It's less than we planned for, but each one of our ships is worth 10 of theirs in terms of technology." Sarah studied the tactical display, her mind already running through potential strategies. The Artemis and ships like her weren't just weapons. They were a statement about humanity's right to determine its own destiny. The neural sync systems are our greatest advantage, James added. The Varaxians rely entirely on AI for ship control. They've never conceived of a true human-machine interface. Our pilots don't just operate their ships, they become their ships. Alina moved to the center of the room, her voice carrying the weight of command. The Security Council has authorized Operation First Light. We're done hiding. In 2 weeks, when the Varaxians move against the Alderans, they're going to learn that they've been looking down on one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. The room erupted in controlled activity as officers and scientists began preparations for humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage. Sarah felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. Everything they had worked for, everything they had sacrificed, had led to this moment. "Captain Wei," Alina called out, "the Artemis will lead the first strike force. I want you and your crew to begin final preparations immediately." Sarah straightened, feeling the neural sync implant at the base of her skull hum with anticipation. Through it, she could already sense the Artemis calling to her, ready to prove that humanity's time in the shadows was over. As she left the strategic center, Sarah caught a glimpse of Earth on one of the massive display screens. From space, it still looked like the primitive world the Varaxians believed it to be. But appearances, as humanity was about to demonstrate, could be deceiving. The time for hiding was over. The time for action had come. The quantum surveillance feed in Project Lighthouse's command center painted a grim picture. Hundreds of Varaxian warships were gathering at predetermined coordinates throughout the Centauri sector, their energy signatures blazing like angry stars against the void. Captain Sarah Wei watched the tactical display with growing concern as more ships arrived by the hour. "They're not even trying to be subtle anymore," Admiral Chen remarked, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display. "The Varaxians are deploying their entire third fleet. This isn't just an invasion force, it's an extermination fleet." The neural sync connection hummed at the base of Sarah's skull, feeding her tactical data directly from the Artemis' sensors. Her ship, hidden in high orbit under its quantum fold field, was tracking even more Varaxian vessels emerging from hyperspace. Dr. Alina Santos entered the command center, her usually composed features tight with tension. The Alderan High Council just sent an encrypted quantum transmission. "They're asking for help, from anyone who will listen." "Did they detect our surveillance?" Admiral Chen asked sharply. Alina shook her head. "No, it was a general distress call. But there's more." She gestured, and the tactical display shifted to show a new data stream. "The Varaxians aren't just targeting the Alderans. We've intercepted orders for simultaneous strikes against 3 other independent systems. They're making their final push for total galactic dominance." Sarah felt a chill run through her. The Varaxians had spent centuries slowly absorbing or subjugating other species, but this was different. This was a declaration of absolute power, an empire announcing that the time for pretense was over. "Show them the projection," Alina commanded, and the holographic display transformed into a timeline of the Varaxian advance. At their current rate of expansion, they'll reach Earth's sector within 5 years. Our masquerade of being a primitive species won't protect us forever. The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. They had planned to reveal themselves on their own terms after another year of preparation. But the galaxy was running out of time. "Message from the Artemis," Sarah announced, the neural sync feeding her the information directly. "Long-range sensors have detected something new. The Varaxians are deploying some kind of massive weapon platforms around the Alderan system." James Rodriguez rushed into the command center, his face pale. "We've analyzed the sensor data. They're quantum resonance cannons, designed to tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. If they fire those weapons..." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone knew what it meant. Alina's quantum comlink chimed urgently. "The Security Council is convening an emergency session. Admiral, Captain, you're both needed." The council chamber was actually a secure quantum-linked network connecting leaders from every major nation on Earth. As Sarah's consciousness interfaced with the virtual environment, she saw the gathered representatives, some of the few humans who knew the full truth about humanity's technological advancement. The situation has become untenable, the council president began without preamble. The Varaxians are about to commit genocide on a galactic scale. We can no longer stay hidden and watch as they destroy civilization after civilization. What about the timeline? Someone asked. The next generation of quantum-fold ships isn't ready. The neural sync network is only at 80% coverage. We're out of time, Elena stated firmly. The Alderans have less than 48 hours before the Varaxians begin their attack. If those quantum resonance cannons fire, they won't just destroy the Alderan homeworld. They'll create a cascade effect that will render the entire system uninhabitable. Admiral Chen's virtual avatar stepped forward. We have 217 combat-ready ships. The Artemis and her sister ships are the most advanced vessels ever created by human hands. We may never be fully ready, but we are ready enough. Sarah felt the neural sync connection pulse with the combined tension of everyone in the virtual chamber. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. The Varaxians believe we're nothing but primitives. She spoke up, her voice carrying the weight of conviction. They've never looked deeper because their arrogance blinds them. That arrogance is our weapon. They won't see us coming until it's too late. The council president nodded slowly. Then we are agreed. Operation First Light is authorized, effective immediately. God help us all. As the virtual council chamber dissolved, Sarah found herself back in the physical command center. Elena was already issuing orders, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. Send the activation codes to all hidden facilities, she commanded. Begin powering up the full fleet. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity has been awake and watching all along. Sarah felt the Artemis calling to her through the neural sync, the ship's quantum systems humming with readiness. In 48 hours, the Varaxians would learn that their greatest mistake had been dismissing Earth as a primitive backwater. The breaking point had arrived, and humanity was ready to break its chains. The HSS Artemis sliced through the darkness of space like a ghost, its quantum fold drive bending reality around the massive vessel until it became one with the void. On the bridge, Captain Sarah Way felt the ship's consciousness merge with her own through the neural sync interface, transforming human and machine into a single entity. All strike groups report ready, her XO, Commander David Torres, announced. The neural sync web shimmered around his head, connecting him to the ship's tactical systems. Quantum fold drives are synchronized across the fleet. We can drop our veils simultaneously. The human fleet had positioned itself throughout the Alderan system, invisible phantoms scattered among the Varaxian invasion force. 217 ships, each a masterpiece of human ingenuity, waiting to reveal themselves in a single devastating moment. Message from Project Lighthouse, David reported. Dr. Santos confirms that the quantum resonance cannons are powering up. The Varaxians will be ready to fire in less than 30 minutes. Sarah accessed the tactical display through her neural link, watching as the massive Varaxian weapon platforms charged their devastating weapons. The enemy fleet had arranged itself in a standard containment pattern, confident in their overwhelming superiority. They had no idea they were surrounded. All ships, execute primary attack pattern, she commanded, her thoughts flowing directly into the fleet's quantum communication network. Quantum fold disengagement in 3, 2, 1. Across the Alderan system, space itself seemed to shatter as humanity's vessels materialized simultaneously. The Artemis appeared less than a kilometer from the nearest quantum resonance cannon, its obsidian hull drinking in the light of the nearby sun. The Varaxian response was immediate but confused. Defense platforms swiveled frantically, trying to target ships that their sensors could barely comprehend. Patrol vessels scrambled to combat positions, only to find themselves firing at sensor ghosts created by the quantum mirror shields. Primary weapons, free to engage, Sarah ordered, feeling the Artemis quantum lance capacitors surge with power. Show them what we can do. The human fleet opened fire as one. Quantum lances, weapons that existed partially outside normal space-time, struck Varaxian shields and passed through them as if they weren't there. Entire squadrons of enemy ships went dark as the exotic particles disrupted their power cores at the quantum level. Multiple Varaxian capital ships disabled, David reported, his voice tight with controlled excitement. Their shield harmonics can't adapt to our weapons. They're completely vulnerable. The space around them erupted in a symphony of destruction as human vessels executed maneuvers that should have been impossible, their neural-sensed crews reacting with artificial speed while maintaining human intuition. Quantum fold drives allowed ships to phase partially out of reality, making them impossible to hit while their own weapons struck with perfect accuracy. Varaxian command vessel is attempting to coordinate a response, the tactical officer announced. They're trying to adapt their shield frequencies. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. They're fighting the last war. Execute Phase 2. Across the battlefield, human ships activated their quantum mirror offensive protocols. Suddenly, the Varaxians found their own weapons fire being reflected back at them, their energy beams and plasma torpedoes striking their own shields. Through the neural sync, Sarah could feel the confusion and fear rippling through the enemy fleet. The Varaxians had never encountered anything like this. Their entire military doctrine was based on overwhelming force and superior numbers, but they were fighting an enemy that simply ignored the rules of conventional warfare. Status of the quantum resonance cannons, she demanded. 2 platforms destroyed, 3 disabled, David reported. The last one is. He paused as new data flowed through the neural sync. The Varaxian flagship is powering up its main weapon. They're going to try to fire on the Alderaan homeworld anyway. Sarah reached out through her connection to the Artemis, feeling the ship's systems respond to her thoughts. Not today, she whispered, and the ship moved. The Artemis phased partially out of normal space, its quantum fold drive pushing the boundaries of physics. In an instant, it materialized directly in the flagship's firing line. Sarah felt the enemy weapon's energy signature spike. And then, the quantum mirror shields activated at full power. The massive energy beam meant to destroy a planet struck the Artemis defenses and reflected perfectly, striking the Varaxian flagship with its own apocalyptic weapon. The massive vessel disappeared in a flash of light that briefly outshone the system's sun. When the glare faded, there was nothing left but scattered debris, already being pulled into quantum space by the aftershocks of the weapon's destruction. All quantum resonance cannons neutralized, David confirmed. The Varaxian fleet is in full retreat. Those ships that still can, anyway. Sarah watched through the Artemis's sensors as the surviving enemy vessels flowed into hyperspace, leaving behind their disabled companions. In less than an hour, humanity had completely shattered the myth of Varaxian invincibility. Signal from the Alderaan High Council, the communications officer reported. They're asking who we are. Sarah straightened in her command chair, feeling the weight of history in this moment. Open a channel to all frequencies, she ordered. It's time to properly introduce ourselves to the galaxy. The game of hide and seek was over. Humanity had emerged from the shadows, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 month after Operation Phantom Dawn, Earth's cities blazed with light and celebration. The streets were filled with people still coming to terms with the revelation that humanity had been advancing in secret for decades, preparing for this moment. In Project Lighthouse's main conference chamber, now open to the galaxy's diplomatic corps, Dr. Elena Santos watched representatives from a dozen alien species gather for the first official interstellar summit hosted by Earth. The Alderaans were there, of course, along with delegations from other formerly subjugated worlds. Even a few Varaxian diplomatic vessels hung in orbit, their presence a tacit acknowledgement of the new balance of power. The quantum fold drive specifications have been transmitted to the Alderaan Science Ministry. Dr. James Rodriguez reported, joining Elena at the observation window. They're still having trouble believing we developed this technology, while pretending to struggle with basic rocket fuel. Elena smiled, remembering the looks of astonishment on alien faces when they first toured Earth's hidden facilities. Sometimes the best place to hide is in plain sight. The Varaxians were so convinced of their superiority that they never thought to question their assumptions. On the massive display screens around them, news feeds showed the changes sweeping across the galaxy. The Varaxian Empire was fracturing as subjugated worlds declared independence, many of them backed by Earth's new fleet. The HSS Artemis and its sister ships had become symbols of hope, proof that even the mightiest empire could be challenged. Captain Sarah Y entered the chamber, her dress uniform adorned with new insignia marking her as one of humanity's first deep space commanders. The neural sync technology is being adapted for civilian use, she announced. Medical applications alone are going to revolutionize healing across the galaxy. And the Varaxians? Elena asked, though she already knew the answer. Still reeling. Sarah confirmed. Their entire military doctrine was based on being the most advanced civilization in known space. Finding out they'd been looking down on a species that had surpassed them decades ago. It shattered their worldview. The neural sync network hummed with activity as more of Earth's hidden fleet emerged from secret bases around the planet. Ships that had never seen real sunlight rose from underground hangars and underwater facilities, their quantum-fold drives bending light around them out of habit more than necessity now. Message from Admiral Chen, James said, checking his neural link. The first joint patrol with Alderaan ships is ready to launch. They're eager to learn from us, especially about integrating human intuition with artificial intelligence. Elena moved to the center of the chamber as the diplomatic representatives took their seats. It was time for Earth's first official address to the galactic community. As she stepped up to the podium, she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Distinguished representatives, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber and across quantum channels to worlds light years away. For generations, humanity looked up at the stars and dreamed. When we first detected the Varaxian ships watching our world, we faced a choice: reveal ourselves and be subjugated, or hide our true potential and grow stronger in secret. The chamber was silent, every alien species present knowing how that choice had shaped the galaxy's future. We chose patience over pride, deception over declaration. Not because we feared the stars, but because we knew that true strength comes from wisdom as much as power. Today, we offer that strength not to conquer or control, but to protect and preserve. On the screens, the HSS Artemis led a joint fleet of human and Alderaan vessels into orbit, their formation a symbol of the new alliances being forged. The age of empire is over, Elena continued. The age of cooperation begins. Earth extends its hand in friendship to all species who seek peace and mutual understanding. Our technology, our innovations, our unique perspective, all will be shared with those who choose to walk beside us as equals. The neural sync network buzzed with messages of support from across the planet and beyond. Humanity had kept its greatest achievements hidden for so long, but now they could finally share them openly. We hid in plain sight because we had to, Elena concluded. We emerged from the shadows when we were needed, and now we step into the light not as conquerors, but as guardians of a free galaxy. As applause filled the chamber, Sarah felt the Artemis calling to her through the neural sync. Soon, she would take her ship out among the stars again. But this time, not in secret. This time, humanity would fly its true colors. The game of hide and seek was over. The time for exploration, innovation, and cooperation had begun. And somewhere out in the vast darkness between the stars, other eyes were watching, learning, perhaps for the first time, that appearances could be deceiving and that sometimes the most powerful civilizations were the ones wise enough to wait for the right moment to reveal their true strength. Earth had joined the galactic community not as a primitive newcomer, but as a guardian of peace and progress. The deception was over. The new dawn had begun.